Brought to you by Lister Pros TV, streaming from Tempe, Arizona. And we're live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey guys, Jordan Nielsen here, host of Real Estate Pros on Lister Pros TV, and today we're in studio with Ben Burklow of RE/MAX Infinity. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day and joining me on Real Estate Pros this afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So we'll give you a couple minutes to introduce yourself for those watching that may not know who you are. Give us a little rundown on Ben, how long you've been in real estate, what do you specialize in, and just a quick intro.
My name is Ben Burklow with RE/MAX Infinity Property Management. I've been doing property management for about 12 years now. Done everything from vacuum houses to listing properties for sale. But for the most part, I'm all property management.
Nice. Cool. Yeah, I have a friend that does property management, and so do you do the listings, and it's a lot of relationships. Obviously, you do a lot of other stuff. You deal with other stuff that traditional real estates don't have to deal with.
I don't know if I would be considered a realtor anymore.
Nah?
That's what it comes down to. Just basically dealing with other people's problems, the psychologist,
You're a psychologist,
the plumber, the electrician, that kind of stuff. So.
Pretty much. Yeah, there's all kinds of issues that can arise. So I guess share a story. Do you have a story of where you? Well, maybe I don't want to get into the negative things because it's going to be like, yeah, we had to evict. You know, evictions it comes with the territory,
Believe
right?
it or not, about 99% of all tenants are good tenants.
Really?
It's just those little snafus you might say that's what keeps us employed for the most part. So it's all about systems and keeping the tenants happy and the clients happy, and kind of goes from there.
Right. So you've been in property management for 12 years. Obviously, there's a lot of things that you have to have in place to be successful as a property manager, whether with systems and stuff. So talk to us a little bit about what that looks like for you. How do you keep in contact with your clients, tenants?
So the biggest issue with property management is the education for the most part. When we first started, it was just kind of a throw it against the wall and see what sticks, basically. Now we've got like National Association of Property Managers, which can help you develop your property management systems a little bit better, or at least to educate you to give you the best client experience for the most part. Now we've got software that's we used to do it on Excel or a piece of paper for all the accounting. Now we have got software that's built in for us and does it automatically, marketing, and that kind of helps in regards to the property systems. However, that doesn't solve the problems. It just helps you build it, right? So being able to get all that information into the system correctly, and then being able to deal with the human aspect, and that's the biggest issue, that human aspect that comes from my water heater broke and now I don't have water for 2 days. How to get that repaired, how to get the vendors out there, that kind of stuff kind of helps a little bit in regards to the software. But overall, it's that human experience that makes it
So give us scope of your business. Like what does it look like? Obviously you can be a property manager of 1,000 houses, of 50 houses, or what does that look like? What kind of dynamics do you have a team in? And more importantly is what makes you different than other property managers? Why do people choose to use you?
So I've been running about 300 properties for about 12 years, 10 years now. Been up to about 300 about 10 years ago. My systems are we built a website for each one of our owners 10 years ago that gives them a portal into their house. So I was out of the country for years and I had 5 rental properties here in the States. And whenever I get that statement every month, I would get this handwritten statement. Of course, it was quite a while ago. That says, okay, they paid this much for this, they paid this much for this. Had no idea what the interior of the property looked like for the 5 years that I was out of the country. So when I came back, I actually started working for the same property management company that did my properties.
Oh, really?
I got mentored by them and how they did their systems, and then I made some suggestions, and they didn't take those suggestions, so I built my own. And so we built this website that allows the photos of the move-in photos. So when I move a tenant in, I take up to 2,000 photos of a house that's only 1,500 square feet. We go through and blanket the property from above the cabinets, inside and outside the cabinets, the appliances, all that kind of stuff. So we have a huge record of what that house looked like when a tenant moves in. And then we started the 5-month inspections, and that now we have someone going in at 5 months. Lister Pros is probably going to be starting that here pretty soon. That goes into 5 months and take a few photos of the house and puts those photos on their website. Now they have an intro into the property itself during the tenancies, and they can see how those tenants are living, or whether or not they want to kick them out because their carpets are dirty or there's holes in the walls. Or we kind of have an intro into the house itself, and it gives us a little bit of a leg up on the competition for mostly the move-in photos, because I can tell you there isn't a property management company out there that does that many photos.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to make a comment. Like, your cell phone is probably full on memory after like 3 houses.
I have a 20 terabyte system at home.
Oh, geez.
Server
All
system
right.
at home.
You got plenty,
yeah,
right?
So my background is kind of in IT, so I started in the IT business, and then couldn't make enough money at it, so got into real estate. I did the DVD menu designs for back in the day.
Oh, really?
That was first started out, and then the market crashed and moved out of the country. Said, "Hey, I'm done with all this. I'm gonna go play for a little while," and taught English for 5 years, and then came back.
Really? Where at? I'm curious.
Taipei, Taiwan. So my
you
wife.
speak Taiwanese?
I speak Chinese. Well, I did 10 years ago, 12 years ago, and I could order food and maybe do a basic conversation, not a fluent type of thing, but
Yeah.
enough to get around for 5 years in the country.
That's cool. So you and your wife went, or
So my wife is Taiwanese, so I met my wife in Taiwan.
During that,
Actually, I met her visiting friends from college in '99, and then we got married, and I moved to Taiwan right after that. So,
that's cool, man.
Yeah, it was kind of a fun experience. Definitely an eye-opener for society.
Probably different culture than what you're used to here.
It definitely made a big difference on the service that I provide today as well, because being able to deal with that culture, as you know, it's blunt, it's blunt because their language is blunt. It's not necessarily their personality. It's just that's how their language is constructed. So the bluntness and the really helped on dealing with tenants, where not getting upset for the way they say something, or a client getting upset because they said something in a different way of meaning. We miscommunicate a lot just on basic phone calls, texts, especially text these days. So it helps you to calm your.
Sure.
Get your zen in Taiwan, right?
Yeah. So you mentioned 10 years ago you hit 300 properties. And you're still around that, or are you looking to grow, or you're at like critical mass where you're good where you're at, or you're looking
300 properties basically with one other person, and then my wife helps me out in the portion of it. Obviously, I can tell you that over the years, I've got Lisa Weiler's in my office, who is one of the best assistants you can possibly imagine. She's basically the office manager, handles all the tenant relations and applications and all that kind of stuff, handles all of that. Without those, my wife and her, I wouldn't even be able to do the 300.
Right.
Lisa's currently part-time, so we've just been part-time ever since, and I've never wanted to go any farther than the 300. I think that's kind of the critical mass for one person at least.
Sure.
But eventually it'll go from being a self-service system, and I would like to get out of the actual vacuuming the houses like I did this morning at 6 a.m. But
doing the
walkthroughs myself. I meet every tenant myself. Go through them. It takes about 2 hours of my day for every tenant. For 300 properties, that can get a little cumbersome, and then trying to manage.
So I can see how that's probably good for one person.
Right.
When you're spending that much time vetting, making sure that they're good. Taking all those pictures. So doing all that stuff for your owners.
And then you've got to go back and organize that, as you know, trying to organize all those photos and keep them up to date for 10 years. I have photos from 10 years ago still in my server system, just maintained, because if someone ever comes back to me from a house that we're still managing, says, hey, that wasn't like that when I moved in, or when I gave that house to you, that screen wasn't there, or that toilet wasn't chipped, or I can say, well, here's the original photos. That's why we haven't fixed it, because it was originally given to us at that point. So you've got a lot of history that you keep intact for that.
Sure.
So, and I do manage a couple of the larger investors in the area, so that kind of helps in regards to the portfolio systems.
Awesome. So, you're in the So are you in the mode of bringing on new clients currently?
Oh, yeah, always. You never can stop bringing them on because you get people that are selling, especially the way the market is right now. You have a lot of the people that bought in the downtime are now selling because it's basically the peak or the perceived peak of the market. So a lot of the houses are being sold as, and then we have to maintain that 300 to maintain my income.
Right, there you go. So
right.
You got to get new houses as you're selling the other ones.
Right, exactly. So
not that people are leaving because they don't like you, right? No. Well,
let's not talk about
that. Awesome. Well, if somebody watching is interested in hiring you as a property manager, do you cover the entire valley?
We do. We're down. Area? We have quite a few properties in the Santan Valley area, Maricopa, all the way out to 51 in Union Hills. We're mostly East Valley for the most part. That's where our base is, but we'll go pretty much anywhere. I typically do the outskirts for the multiple properties. So if you have a few here, a few there, I don't want to have them spread out their property management. So.
Awesome. Cool, Ben. Well, it was a pleasure having you on Real Estate Pros this afternoon. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
And we will see you guys on the next episode.